Hey, thanks for joining me here in Red Dirt Country. I'm Donnie, the fuzzy-faced fisherman, and these are 3 baits you'll find tied on my lines this April. First bait I'm going to talk to you about in the month of April, tied to my lines, is the jig. 2023 is the year of the jig for us here in Red Dirt Country, and we're going to do what we can to try to master the bad boy. The first jig I'm reaching for to put on my lines, I love a swim jig. A swim jig has got so many different options for you to move it through the water, and you really cover all the different spots you want to hit from the boat, from the bank. It's a great option. I tend to trim my skirts down on my swim jigs just below the hook level, really trying to keep the presentation a little bit smaller, a little more compact, give those bass just a bite size as it's cruising through the water. If I want to slow things down a little bit, I want to give it a little more finesse, I'm going to use a finesse jig. The finesse jigs, I'm typically going to go with a little bit darker one here, but if you see, I've got the round ball head here. I think this one's 3/8 ounce, so is my swim jig. But these are the two that I'm reaching for every time I'm going for a jig. Now, in the event I want to displace a little bit more water, I've got an option that a lot of people have really seemed to love these days. These they call them chatterbaits or jackhammer baits. I've heard them called several different things, but a bladed jig is always a fun one to play with. Drag it through the water column, multiple levels. You can burn it in. You can bounce it off the bottom. You really got a lot of options with the bladed jig. And talk about making racket. This sucker will get fish's attention, whether they want to be disturbed or not. This thing's going to get their attention. But definitely, first bait I'm reaching for in the month of April is the jig. Next bait you're going to find tied to my line in the month of April is a topwater walker. A lot of times what will happen is I'll get down to a fishing hole, whether it's even as I'm putting the boat in the water, or sometimes when I'm fishing from the bank, I'll see shad just popping to the top of the water all over the place in the shallows. And what's going on is those shad are actually spawning this time of year in Red Dirt Country as well. And those bass a lot of times will corner them up in those shallows and cruise through and pick off the slower, weak and wounded ones. Well, these topwater poppers really mimic that action of those distressed shad quite well. And as you walk that sucker back and forth across top of the water, this cupped feature on the front of this lure just grabs the water, makes all kinds of racket, really gets those fish's attention. And notice both of these are shad color. Shad's a very prominent forage for largemouth bass in my neck of the woods. So definitely second bait I'm reaching for my largemouth bass in the month of April is a topwater walker popper. Third bait I'm reaching for in the month of April is going to be a shaky head. Shaky head, like all soft plastics, is really going to give you a little bit of versatility and finesse when it comes to fishing some heavy and deep cover. Not to say you can't work it in open water, you can do that as well. I like working my shaky heads around a lot of cover, thicker cover. It's just a great weedless option. Gets over some of those branches, gets around some of those stumps, hits those dock legs really well and bounces around them. Gives you a lot of option. But this is the shaky head I've currently got rigged up. Try to keep my soft plastics on the shorter side. This one is ribbed and gives the bass a little something in their mouth when they actually bite down on it. But the rigging is very basic. There's a couple different actual heads you can use. Let me show you a couple other different options. This one's a pretty common one. The screw head is very popular. 60-degree eyelet off the hook head here is quite popular. A lot of folks think those make it through the water a little bit better, get up over cover. I tend to agree a lot of times. But this one's a little on the lighter end. I believe it's this was the 16th ounce. It's you definitely want to use a little bit lighter rigging for this one. The other two I've got here have a little bit different bait holder on them. This one's got a little bit more of the shank style. You slide your worm up over the top, hold it on the top, versus something like this. It's got more of a barbed head on it that you can actually rig up from the top that way. Now, when it comes to the plastics, again, soft plastics is versatility. So I try to keep my plastics on the shorter side this time of year. The one I showed you there a second ago is one of these Lake Forks. That's it right there. If I want to go on the lighter color side of things, you can see me put something like this on it. But notice both of them are ribbed. It gives those bass really something to hold on to when they first put it in their mouth. A lot of times you'll see it. I've seen them on the cameras as you're sitting there shaking that sucker. Little tail of that worm's just going nuts, and those those bass might take the nibble of the tail, and then they put the thing in their mouth, and that's when you're going to set the hook. But that ribbedness of those worms really gives those fish something to hold on to. Something else you might see, I've got 13 fishing here. They call this the bubble butt worm. It's supposed to get you a little bit better tail action. I have actually yet to use this, so more to follow. But that's definitely what you're going to see me reach for as well in the month of April. That is bait number 3. That was 3 baits you're going to find tied on my lines in the month of April. And I have one more. I have an honorable mention. You're going to see tied on my lines pretty much in the event things slow down, I'm having a hard time getting fish to react. This is my go-to in the month of April for sure. Is going to be a soft plastic jerkbait. A couple different options here, but notice both of them are in the white, the shad color here. I've even seen people take some of these and take a magic marker, put a little white dot on it, make it look like a little more like a shad. But this is the super salty white fluke, white pearl from Zoom. I've got Excite baits here. The difference between these two is minimal, but there is a difference. The shape of the tail, I'm just going to show you here real quick. The shape of the tail has got a little bit difference in them, and the softness of them has a little bit difference in them as well. But if you notice, the tails here are, one's got the split tail, the other one's got the straight tail. And while minimal as that may be, as they move through the water, you get a different reaction. Even just sitting here wiggling them, you see the different reaction you get out of them. Now, is that going to make a difference? It may not. But I have both. I use both. I haven't noticed a discernible difference as to which one the bass prefer, but I do use both. I will rig them up weightless, in a sense. I put them on a swivel. Not just, I don't put them on a snap swivel, just a swivel, barrel swivel. 3 to 4 hook. I do put them on a barrel swivel with, call it 12 to 18 inch leader, because there's going to be a little bit of spin if you don't get that sucker just perfectly square and straight on your hook. So definitely consider yourself briefed on the soft jerk bait, the fluke. That's bait number 4, my honorable mention. Those are the baits tied to my lines in the month of April. If you got any questions or comments, please leave them below. Subscribe and like if you did. Until next time, tight lines.